Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live in the night hours. I quit for a small moment in time, but those illegal broadcasts, I have to report, have been taken down. I didn't have anything to do with it, but they were taken down. And we are back, and we are going to be commentating on some of the overnight hours at the some of the most glorious and fun times of the 24 hours of Daytona. There's currently no footage from rFactor to the game as I try to cycle some things back to nighttime so we can have some nighttime footage. But obviously, we will be commentating here on the 24 hours of Daytona with just over 13 hours to go. We're almost halfway there. We're currently under a safety car. There's a tire also that happens to be just sitting out by the side of the track. But pit stop cycles have been going through, and I feel I am obliged to give you a race rundown as the class leaders with 13 hours 23 minutes remaining and still in DPI. The number 31, Wheelin Engineering, the Action Express Cadillac DPI, is the leader there. In the LMP2, it is the Dragon Speed number 81 LMP2, which is leading in that category, although they have now been surpassed. In LMP3, it's Kai Van Verlo in the number 74. They have taken the lead. I will be updating, of course, these class leaders at 13 hours to go on the actual screen. And in GTD Pro, it's the number 9 of Felipe Nasser, who's taken back the lead in GTD Pro. GTD led by the number 16 Wright Motorsports Porsche of Zachary Robichon. So then, it appears we may be coming back to a start here, or maybe a couple more pace laps before we go back to green. Here in Daytona, the lights are fully out. As they're about to be on in my game, we are getting there slowly in order to have the peak 24 hours of Daytona experience. So hopefully we will have some viewers. Because my previous video was not getting didn't get many views like this, but then it got many views. So even if it doesn't necessarily get many now, it maybe will help out later. I can inform you we are still under a caution as they all get stacked on up in the infield. A little bit of tire smoke from a couple lockups here and there as they try and get heat into those tires. They have to be blocks of ice at this time of evening with such cold weather down in Florida. Very unusual. Into the low 30s tonight. It could even get down to freezing. Well, hopefully we will be getting back into the swing of things very shortly. My original live stream has managed somehow to get up to 3,000 views, so thank you all so much on that front. But there is still much motor race left to run. So then we're coming to the restart. The number 31, Wheeling Engineering, will lead the field back to the green yet another time. This time it appears there's no stack up, and they are green, green, green. They are running again down the tri-oval. Look at those empty stands. There's a few late wanderers. And the number 60, Meyershank Racing, was into the lead, but has now run wide on the exit of turn 1. And Nunez will resume the lead position. And the Meyershank number 60 of Castro Nevis is maybe going to lose out to the number 10, Konica Minolta of Alexander Rossi here. Alexander Rossi does not manage to get around, but they are most certainly going to be fighting that battle out for a while, and don't count out them for the lead right now either, as Tristan Nunez continues to lead the field through the second horseshoe, and now into the turn 6 onto the banking for the first time. That number 10 is really struggling to get tires up to temperature right now, as the 01 of Alex Pillow files through. They're actually back to 5th place now. Through the bus stop. Onto the banking once again. 11 hours of running, and they're still all nose to tail. Look at this, the number 10, Wayne Taylor Racing, side by side with the numbers 02, Chip Ganassi Racing into the braking zone. Chip Ganassi gets the better of Wayne Taylor Racing that time around. That'd be Earl Bamber, of course, the well-known factory Porsche pilot. So they're having a bit of connection issues here. Alright, we are fired back up. We got an onboard shot from GTD here. This is Jack Hawksworth and the number 14, Vassar Sullivan Lexus. Pardon, I should have changed my background image to, for the timer background to green, because we are indeed under green flag running conditions. This traffic continuing to play a part. There's a slower LMP3 in front of this number 2 KCMG Porsche. This is the battle for the lead in GTD Pro, with the 14 of Hawksworth and the number 2 of Pile. Pile is going to be on the inside for the International Horseshoe, but Hawksworth still right behind. Pele appears to get the better exit out of the corner, but he's going to be held up by that slower LMP3 traffic, it appears. One of the damaged LMP3s from earlier on. And into the secondary horseshoe, still very, very much being held up. The 14 is the closest, Jack Hawksworth, the closest he has ever been to that number 2 of Patrick Pele, as they continue to fight on through to the nighttime, onto the banking of Daytona one more time. I'm happy to inform you that I'm nearly able to run rFactor 2 now. I've nearly gotten the nighttime, and I should be able to have some background footage and audio for you here in just a very short moment, which really makes this this what it is. Moving the timer around a little bit there. Battle continues on to the banking one more time. I apologize for the current delays and little issues we're having here. We're just getting the stream back going. We're going to be enjoying the nighttime hours until 2 a.m., in which I will go off and catch some sleep and come back refreshed in the morning with the sound of cars, which makes it so much better. What is not better is the fact that we are once again under caution, and that is for the number 11 PR1 Matheson Motorsports LMP2, which is parked on the outside of the turn 6 corner in that concrete area, kind of in between turns 1 and 6 there. I don't think that's where the current driver of that car wants to be. That is, in fact, Stephen Thomas in that car. I'm not sure exactly what is going on in that vehicle. The door was up. Stephen Thomas trying to get it fired up, it appears. He's going to shut the door. as they'll continue to try and get this electrical gremlin sorted out here for the number 11 PR1 Matheson Motorsports LMP2. The blue and yellow, it's got the little yellow stripe there on the top. The second car, the secondary team car for the number 52 PR1 Matheson Motorsports. And there you go, footage from the game. Pretty sight from Daytona International Speedway. While the cars are racing in game, they are not right now, as we have had yellow after yellow through these nighttime hours. But just getting settled in here, this presents a great time to change the running orders and leaders. Of course, Tristan Nunez, the number 31 Cadillac DPI, does in fact remain the leader of the class. If we move down to LMP2, which is the class of the stricken car, that is Ferdinand Hansberg in the, I believe that would be the number 29 of, no, that is, it's difficult to see. That's actually the number 8 Tower Motorsports LMP2. They are leading their class. Good to see them up there and doing well. As the PR1 Matheson car, the number 11, is towed back to the pits. Riley Motorsports, number 74, is back out in front in LMP3. In GTD Pro, it's the number 2 KCMG Porsche 911 GT3 R out front. And in the reverse regular GTD class, Mike Skeen in the number 32 Gradient Racing Mercedes. Good to see them up there running well also. So the number 11 will continue to be towed back to the pits. So we will take the opportunity to go through a bit of a race rundown here. This is, so of course, we'll go through your top 5 in each class. Tristan Nunez leads overall in DPI in the number 31 Whelen Engineering Action Express Cadillac DPI. Elio Castroneves in the number 60 Meyershank Racing Acura DPI follows behind in a close second. Tristan Vaudier in the number 5 Mustang Sampling JDC Miller Motorsports Cadillac. A good showing for them. It's good to see them back strong this year. Earl Bamber maintains the helm, stays at the helm of the number 02 Chip Ganassi Cadillac. That's the first of the Chip Ganassi Cadillacs in 4th position in class. And in 5th place, you will find Alexander Rossi of the number 10 Acura DPI from Wayne Taylor Racing. They've been bouncing back and forth. They made a comeback from 2 laps down after an incident where they had a tire going down. As we continue looking, we'll go ahead and go through the rest of them. Mike Rockefeller is in the number 48 Cadillac at 6th. And Alex Pillow is at the helm of the number 01 Cadillac DPI. And LMP2, Ferdinand Hansberg, as I said, leads in the number 8 Tower Motorsports LMP2. Great to see that. Rinus VK is in 2nd in the number 29 Racing Team Netherlands LMP2. Third is Mikkel Jensen in that number 52 PR1 Matheson Motorsports LMP2. They've been down the order a bit, but are making their way back up the field fairly strong. The number 69 Orca LMP2 of course, G-Drive Racing. That is John Paul in that car is fourth, and Eric Lux, the more experienced of the 81, is in that car. As we were back to green flag racing, and there's almost a little bit of contact between the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing and the number 02 Earl Bamber. That's Rossi and Bamber going at each other there, as we are in fact back to green. So that is a development right there. We'll continue to make our way through the rest of the field. Kai Van Berlo leads in the number 74 Ligier in LMP3, followed by Ore Fidani in the number 13 Duquesne. You'll find the number 33 Ligier in third of Matthew Jacobsen. Fourth, you'll find George Kurtz in the number 54 Ligier for Corrado Sport. And in fifth, you'll find Jarrett Andretti. And I believe what we just saw there is that, yes, when the field went back to green, that was the number 31 Cadillac DPI of the Wheeling Engineering going into the pits. So they have lost the lead. Of course, they'll remain on the lead lap, but that is something to note. And fifth place, if we go back to the LMP3, that is the number 36 Ligier of Jarrett Andretti for Andretti Autosport. Having a good showing there, just a couple of laps back from the leader. In GTD Pro, it is Jack Hawksworth in the number 14 Vassar Sullivan Lexus that leads, with the number 9 Pfaff Porsche of Felipe Nasser, and that is not exactly where I think the Peregrine Racing Lamborghini wants to be. Found itself a bit in the infield near the bus stop. Looks like they're going to be getting back on the track and hopefully continuing with no issues. Let's see what occurred here. Some contact from a heavy contact, significant contact from the 21 AF Corsa Ferrari into the bus stop. What we were seeing there was a signage board, one of the WeatherTech boards, that it nearly took out. So yeah, some fairly stout contact. There is likely to be some suspension damage for that Peregrine Racing Lamborghini, the number 39, and of course for the Ferrari as well, the 21 AF Corsa Ferrari. They're not going to get out of this unscathed either. Continue the field rundown. In third place, that number 15 Proton competition, Mercedes AMG GT3, driven, of course, by a name that is a bit skewed on my screen, unfortunately. We're having some kind of issues with the screen a bit, but I believe that would be Patrick Essenheimer behind the wheel perhaps now, or maybe Dirk Mueller. Dirk Mueller indeed is behind the wheel of that car at the moment. You got in sixth place is the number 63 TR3 Lamborghini for fans of that car, and that is Ralph Enickson, a Swiss individual behind the wheel of that car at the moment. Finally, as we travel down to GTD, Mike Skeen continues to lead in that number 32 Gradient Racing Mercedes, with Philip Ellis in the number 57 Windward Racing Mercedes, not far behind. Zachary Robichon in the number 16 Wright Motorsports GTD, of course Porsche there. In third, fourth place, you'll find these names are all very scrunched together. It's making it difficult to. Kevin Simpson in the number 66 Gradient Racing Acura. It's good to see them up there doing well also. Looks like we've had a bit of argy-bargy in the infield. That is the gradient racing of Mike Skeen being pushed wide by the GTD Pro Risi Competizione Ferrari. Yeah, just gets a little bit of a shove off to the side of the track there, a little bit of a bump. They will continue on, of course. But still, just a fantastic GTD battle on throughout this whole field. They're always together at these restarts, and they seem inseparable. That massive GT field, it's just been so much fun to watch throughout this whole race, and I'm sure that it will continue to be just an absolute blast to follow. Meanwhile, we have other things to pay attention to, such as the battle for the DPI lead. That is Castroneves. That's right, Elio Castroneves is leading in the number 60 Meyershank Racing Acura, followed by the 02 Chip Ganassi Racing Cadillac DPI of Earl Bamber. These two only separated by half a second as they come onto the banking in the tri-oval of the front straightaway, if you can call it a straightaway, into the braking zone of turn 1. Will Earl Bamber look to make a move on this lap, or will he be content with staying in behind that beautiful pink, white, black, blue, all sorts of artistic designs on that number 60 Meyershank Sirius XM sponsored prototype? But for now, the two maintaining a steady gap of around half a second. That won't last forever though, as there are not many more clean laps to be had. Traffic will come up soon, and that will play a whole new work in this race that it's continued to play time and time again, as we've seen. Traffic is now coming into play. You can see that 21 AF Corsa Ferrari did allow Castroneves to get a little bit more of a gap there, and that's just how it works, the ebb and flow of traffic, and then just like that you get an advantage. Of course, Earl Bamber was the 2019 IMSA WeatherTech champion in GTLM and one of the Porsche's 911 RSRs. Fantastic cars those were. But now, very different machinery in that prototype. Just very, very different cars from the previous cars that he's used to. Of course, those Porsches. You can see just wonderful camping on the outside of the track there. So many cars, so many people to enjoy this 60th anniversary race of the 24 Hours of Daytona. 60th running, that is. And just fantastic to see all the campers and all the people out to enjoy this one. And of course, the action on track is just incredible. There's so much to follow in the prototypes and the GT classes. And for now, a steady lead for the number 60 Meyershank Racing Acura of Elio Castroneves. Of course, that will change once we get to the next pit stops. There will be more spinners thrown into the works and maybe a few used to fix some mechanical issues. We look at the number 9 Pfaff Porsche exiting turn 6 onto the banking. The GTD Pro leaders have managed to complete themselves 323 laps so far. So for the 323rd time, Felipe Nasser is chasing Jack Hawksworth in that number 14 Lexus. This is a battle that we've had a close eye on for the entirety of this race so far, and it's unlikely to die down anytime soon as they head through the Le Mans chicane, or whatever they're deciding to call it now. Let's be real, it's still the bus stop. Prototype streaming by, that's the high class racing. We'll grab a little draft from that 14 Lexus of Jack Hawksworth and be on its way as they stream through into the relatively more light of the tri-oval that is provided. It is very different from Le Mans and other tracks where there is so much less lighting. There is a lot more lighting in the infield, and that's certainly helpful, but by no means is it fully bright out there. It is darkness, and under the cover of darkness, many problems can arise, and we've seen them pop up in many favorites so far. Hello, NASCAR, who is also apparently engaged to Gage. Man, congratulations. Good to see you in here, and thank you for checking out the stream. We've got ourselves a great little battle in the evening night time hours as the stream continues on, the race continues on, and well, it just hasn't slowed down any. We've had many safety cars and little caution periods that have continued to bunch the field up time and time again, and this GTD Pro battle has certainly been one to watch, and I think it sets us up for a really fun year of racing in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. We have just a really exciting battle, I think, and group brewing on our hands with the GTD Pro machinery that I thoroughly look forward to seeing in person, as I will be attending Virginia International Raceway, as I always do every year. That's one to look forward to for sure. We'll be talking everything NASCAR. Well, NASCAR is actually affiliated with IMSA, you may or may not know. IMSA is under NASCAR. NASCAR owns IMSA. And yeah, that is a little tidbit of information there. As we continue to look at Mike Skeen in the replay of when he was forced off the track there during the restart, and there were some pieces flying off that car. Whether any of that will be significant remains to be seen, because he is just a second back from the lead of the GTD category. Meanwhile, the number 02 Cadillac DPI much closer now to Castroneves. Earl Bamber really closing up in the braking zone there to the second horseshoe. Going to be slippery on exit, but there is traffic which will play into this. We'll see if we get a change for the lead anytime soon. Oh, some traffic really is going to be playing into this. One of the Porsches, I think that's the Team Hardpoint Porsche, getting in the way there. They both snake around it on the banking. Lights flashing from the 02 of Earl Bamber. Closing in the braking zone of the bus stop to no avail. The gap still remains fairly stable. Just behind, there's another battle, 4 seconds back the road. Tristan Vaudier in the number 5 JDC Miller Motorsports has Alexander Rossi for company by another half a second or so. These doubles pairs, if you will, are really together, but this traffic is certainly going to be playing a key now as they fight through the GTD Pro traffic. Oh man, the number 60 Elio Castroneves got very up close and personal with one of the Lexuses there. that could have ended very badly. A little bit of lockup, perhaps. And now we get to see a wild mechanic with his unicorn stuffed animal and some coffee. Just the life of those trackside. I don't know about the unicorn part, but I mean, if that looks like a pretty comfy blanket, I would most certainly be down. The play-by-play, I must inform you, he is petting the unicorn. A fellow Action Express mechanic sleeping by his side. Grabbing any sleep you can during these 24-hour races. A crucial part of keeping these teams as fresh as possible. But let's be clear, none of them are feeling fresh right now. Any bit of sleep that you can grab at any moment in time, well, when that guy wakes up and sees that he's been on television, I'm sure he'll be happy. Long, long ways to go in this one. We're approaching 12 and a half hours remaining, nearing that halfway point. Just considering how much has already happened so far, that certainly feels like a long ways away. During the night hours, those early morning night hours tend to bite the most cars, but if you can make it through, you have a fair shot at the end of this race. Taking a look at the 99 Team Hardpoint Porsche now. They've been struggling a little bit in this race. There have been some issues with that car. We can take a look down the order and see where they are. They're currently down in 14th place in GTD Pro. And it looks like the driver of that machine is Nick Bollet. But it is good to see Hardpoint back in this race. Of course, local connection for me for Virginia International Raceway. They are based out of that track. So good to see that they are still here running in this race. And, you know, just the spirit of endurance and attempting to finish the race. You never know what will come out of it. You could end up with the top 10. It's happened before. And that's just how these things roll. And speaking of how these things roll, the number 02 of Earl Bamber is really rolling on up to the number 60 Meyershank Racing as they exit the bus stop and onto the banking once more. Turn 3 NASCAR, just half a second still, but I think it's much closer than that now. Earl Bamber really has a run on him this time, so weaving down the straight from Castro Neves. He won't be wanting to do that too much. He could get a penalty. Bamber flashing the lights again from his GT experience to no avail. Down into turn 1 once more, and the process starts over again. Never-ending traffic, gap, draft, back to traffic again. It's a cycle, and you have to just get into that rhythm and play it the best you can. And the fact that we are able to have such close racing in these top categories, we are truly, truly blessed, we must admit. And that is the 01 Cadillac DPI that's out in front of them, Alex Pillow. And he may, in fact, be going a lap down here as Castroneves and Bamber come up to lap him. This may, I'm sure he certainly won't want to give it up by any means, but more importantly, Bamber is right on the tail of Castroneves right now. They are really, really neck and neck as they go down the back straightaway. Bamber's going to be getting in the draft. Will he try to do anything into the bus stop? No. Smartly, he lets Castroneves go because there is traffic ahead. He can save a little bit of fuel. But that traffic is going to play into this as they exit out of the bus stop. I see the Racing Team Netherlands up in front there. No traffic in sight so far, but Bamber is once again going to have a little bit of a run, as I think that Elio might be held up a little bit by the 29. No, he just is able to go around, and so is Bamber. These two seem very, very evenly matched at the moment, separated by only about 0.3 of a second. They're really getting into a more of a rhythm now after the restart. And Earl Bamber is going to go to the side. He thought about it for the kink for just a moment there and thought better of it. There are still, after all, many racing hours left. He's going to try around the outside of the second horseshoe, but he's going to get held up by the LMP2 traffic of the Tower Motorsports. No, he isn't. He is clear and ahead of the Meyershank Racing. Elio Castroneves nearly gets into the back of him there as they exit on to the banking one more time. Down they go. They're going to be getting by the Tower Motorsports, who's going to actually get in between the two. Elio will not be happy about that. Just getting a little bit of draft there is King Ferdinand. Of course, that is Ferdinand Hansberg of Austria. You all may know him that he raced with Jimmy Broadbent. You know, well-known sim racer and content creator in the 2020 Le Mans Virtual. As we're going to take a look at how this pass was made again. Around the outside of the second horseshoe, just seizes the opportunity, feels he has the grip in the car, and makes it stick all the way around the outside. That doesn't happen very often, and just like that, both cars are into the pit lane. It appears we have just tires and fuel, no driver change for the Meyershank Racing. Dave's Racing Channel, yeah, absolutely, man. I would subscribe to you. In fact, I could find you right now. Yeah, absolutely, no problem, man. I will certainly do that and help you out. Yeah, that's nice, man. Good to see that. I'll turn on those notifications. But, yeah, indeed, pit stops coming out of the cycle now. We have the 60 and the 2 still right together. Castroneves and Bamber are still both behind the wheel. Exiting the pit lane, they'll be exiting out right into traffic as well. And of course some of the DPIs that haven't pitted will be ahead of them, but this is for the provisional lead, as they'll all have to trundle down the pit lane at some point, and they were very lucky to get out ahead of that stream of GT traffic just behind. They'll need to be careful with those cold tires that they don't actually fall into the grips of those as well. I believe I saw the number 31 of Tristan Nunez, who may be coming up for a position here. They're just crawling on those cold tires, and there's contact, the number 31 Cadillac DPI has made contact with the 02 of Earl Bamber. They are both around, and they may be stuck in the grass at the second horseshoe. The 2 of Earl Bamber is able to get it around, and the 31 is attempting to, but that is contact for 2 major runners in the DPI class. The 31 is stuck. He's not going anywhere there. Finally, he's able to spin it around. Scandinavian flick it onto the track, but that is significant time loss for both of them. Elio Castroneves will be very happy about that as well, as he'll scamper off into the distance. The number 31, of course, that would be, I believe, Tristan Vautier, still behind the wheel. Just saw the opportunity. Tristan Nunez, pardon me, still behind the wheel, saw the opportunity there to make up some spots while they were on cold tires, and it didn't work for him. He's down to 7th now. Just like that, changes very rapidly. He may have been into the pits as well, and we just didn't see it. But my, certainly that was a bit of a shock there to see. And with that, we will once again update the leaders, as the number 31, which we were just talking about, was leading with 13 hours to go. That tells you just how fast these things change from first to last in the class. Now the leader is the number 60 Meyershank Racing prototype. Of course, driven by Elio Castroneves. In LMP2, however, it is still Tower Motorsports that continues to lead, and in LMP3, it is still Kai Van Berlo in the number 74 Ligier as well. GTD Pro, it is Jack Hawksworth. That must change. That is the number 14. Vassar Sullivan. Is it 2 L's? I'm actually going to have to check. It is 2 L's. Vassar Sullivan. Lexus RCF GT3. And the number 32 Gradient Racing is no longer in the lead as we see a quick spin for the 81. Ooh, and the bus stop is going to have to, ooh, very careful not to get in traffic there. That was the 81. Who's currently in that car? I believe that is Pato Award. He's taking a quick spin and he's back on his way. But it is the number 57 Windward Racing Mercedes. They're looking very, very strong right now. Let's take a look at that contact again, and yeah, the number 2 on cold tires, Earl Bamber, just got into the side of the 31 there. And they just got around. Quick little contacts. In the end, it may not mean anything, but certainly that's not helpful for either one of those and their hopes at a win or lead in this motor race. So those are your leaders with 12.5 hours remaining. We'll have a full race update with your top 5 in each category with 12 hours remaining, the halfway point, and then I will be off to catch some Z's. I will see you all at 9 in the morning is when we'll be back for the end of the race from 9 to 1:30. And is there any damage on the number 1 Chip Ganassi? It appears there might be a little on the rear of that car. Of course, that was not the car that made contact, it was the O2. Meanwhile, lap traffic continues to play a role in this race as it forever has been. I feel like I continue to say traffic, traffic, traffic time and time again, but it is the truth. It is the key determining factor in this race, and we have seen it many times. Alexander Rossi continues to lead in the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing Acura DPI. They've had a bit of a roller coaster ride for this race, from 1st down to 7th and all the way back up to 1st in DPI. After a couple laps down, they went for a flat tire, but things are smooth sailing for the 3-time winners, and earlier I'd said that they were looking for their 3rd. They're actually looking for their 4th 24 hours of Daytona in a row. And if they do that, that would be certainly an incredible feat, and it would be interesting to see if anyone else has won it that many times in a row. We'll have to be finding that out. Philip Ellis in the Windward Racing Mercedes, as we move back to GTD, seems to have a substantial gap of about 4 seconds over Zachary Robichon, and that just goes to show you the up-tempo pace of this race that we call, after 12 hours of racing, a 4-second gap, somewhat substantial in the GTD category. Of course, GTD Pro is very close as well. Alessandro Piernieri is within a second of Jack Hawksworth in that number 62 Racing Competizione Ferrari. And much closer now, it appears. Perhaps some pit cycles either going on, or timing and scoring is just ebbing and flowing, or we do indeed have a battle on our hands. Night racing continues on in Daytona. believe there is a yellow that was flashing there. Was that a local yellow, perhaps? We do not have a full course caution. There is a look again at the number 60, Meyershank Racing. They were in the lead of this race, but I believe after pitting they may have dropped to about 5th or so. And that is 6th for Elio Castroneves. Obviously, they've been off cycle a little bit throughout this, the entirety of this race. But they're having a solid race. Everyone still in TPI, I would give a very fair shot winning this thing. Everyone has really been running a solid race. Earl Bamber looks fresh from his stint in the number 02, and that is actually Marcus Ericsson that has climbed on board of the 02, and Ericsson may have ironically hit us. Ericsson may have hit the number 31 Wheeling Engineering car. Of course, you all know that meme from F1. We think Ericsson hit us. Well, this time it did actually happen. But Earl Bamber is out of that car, and he seems fairly much all smiles, although they did just come in and take another pit stop, so maybe perhaps some damage on that car, something they felt they needed to change. But still, I believe the entire DPI field, okay, 6 of the 7 DPIs are all within a lap of each other. The 7th place, number 01 Cadillac of Sebastian Bourdais, only a lap down. I would still give all of them a fair shot at the win of this race. And there is another yellow flag on track. That is a safety car, a full safety car now. For the number 6. Is that the 6 or the 26? That's the 26. Wilheimer Motorsports America LMP3 that has found themselves stuck in the grass. And so that is the cause of this caution. There's been so many, too many to count almost, as this race goes on. So the number 26 is stranded at the side of the International Horseshoe. Both doors open. Maybe they'll be able to get this one started again. The 26 is currently driven by, let's look down the list, Nolan Sayegel. They are well down the order in 6th place in class, but 10 laps off the class leader. As for, I would be curious to know how many yellow flags we've had in this session so far. I'm unable to see that. But this will, there is a wheel missing, and I would have to guess that that may in fact be from the car that is stranded. There's an entire tire that is loose, may have come off this number 26 machine, perhaps during a pit stop. A loose lug nut or a not tightened enough single lug nut. Of course, these are all single lug nut machines. For their tires, which NASCAR, of course, will be moving to for this year, with the singular lug nut in the center. And it looks like they're going to be getting out the flatbed for the number 26 haul it back to the pits. That car will not be going any further on the racetrack for now. Of course, they may be able to get out later on. But, yep, lights flashing, all the safety vehicles and crew vehicles, of course, putting in the hard work throughout this 24-hour race. Of course, none of it would be possible without these guys being able to help out in any situation they can and clear the way for the rest of us. And I believe if the driver steps from the car, that would be day done for the 26 machine. So as we look down the order, checking for anything that catches my eye. Richard Westbrook has stepped into the number 5 Cadillac DPI. That is of interest. Richard Westbrook, of course, in whatever he drives, whatever scenario he's driving it in, he's going to give his all, 100%. And even at 1:20 in the morning, that should be no exception for the old Richard Westbrook. Kai Van Berlo has been behind the wheel of that number 74 LMP3 Riley Motorsports for a long time now. Continues to lead that class. Jack Hawksworth, for the first time in a while, the GTD Pro lead hasn't changed hands many times. It is fairly stable with Jack Hawksworth in the number 14 Vassar Sullivan Lexus controlling, at least temporarily, that class. So I know my thing says Meyer-Shank Acura in the lead. Well, it is. Everyone on there is correct except the number 10 Konica Minolta DPI. Of course, leading in the DPI category. That is the one class that always seems to be forever changing for every pit cycle, for every stop, and every restart that we get going. And one thing that I may note, and I feel like maybe this is a good time of evening for this sort of rant, is that we should develop the, we should take the Code 60 method from other sports car series, and I think it would be very useful at races here like Daytona, where we have so many yellow flags and caution periods that it becomes a bit of a hilarity sometimes. We have more yellow flag racing than green. And of course, when you have so many cars like this, you're going to end up in scenarios where you have, you know, a little car that gets, you know, stops briefly and then gets going, but it was in a bad spot, so they have to call the yellow, the caution. And during all that, you have to have everyone stack up behind the safety car. Then you have to get the prototypes to pit and the GT cars to pit. And then once everyone's had their pit stop cycles, you have to get everyone through. And, you know, the waiver rounds and everyone have to come through. And it is a bit of a hassle. It makes for some great racing for sure on the restarts, and that's one of the reasons we've seen so much close racing. But at the same time, we're very likely to just breed more safety cars because restarts do breed more safety cars. And the 60 Code 60 method is a bit different from what we have here in America, where it's used over in like the Creventic series, and of course, you know, was first used in scenarios at Le Mans, where the field slows down, everyone on track slows down, or in a section of the track slows down to 60 kilometers an hour, and then once the incident is cleared, they can call a green. Of course, if there will be some incidents where they will need a full safety car to give the track workers enough time to clear the track away from the incident, but I think that Code 60 would be very beneficial for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, as there is a lot that's very useful about it. Also useful to Alexander Rossi behind the wheel of the number 10 Acura DPI. I did the thing. is that he is staying behind the wheel of the car, and they have a pit stop cycles going through once more with this most recent of yellow flags. A bit of a hive of pit activity down in the pit lane. As they all wait for that green light to go, which they do. Number 60 Meyershank Racing Acura is in, as far as we can tell. 31 Wheeland Engineering Cadillac, the number 02 Chip Ganassi, and the number 10 Wayne Taylor Konica Minolta, all into the pits on this recent cycle. Well, not necessarily cycle, but on this recent caution period. They've been given the opportunity to pit and have taken it, which leaves the number 5 of Richard Westbrook and then Mike Rockenfeller in the number 48, both out and ahead of this field, the rest of those who pitted. And I believe that Sebastian Bourdais in the 01 may in fact get out ahead of these as well. As if he didn't pit, this would give him an opportunity to get back on the lead lap and put the 01 Chip Ganassi right back in this thing and be able to be back on the same strategy as everyone else again, as they fell a little bit behind just a while back. They were a lap down. Of course, now they'll all be bunched up again. So one of many yellow flag periods continues. I feel like we've had more yellows than green in this race. I've certainly seen many yellows sitting here just in this recent couple of hours that we've been streaming. But there has been some great racing as well. We've still seen some battles here in the middle of the night, as we tend to see. Of course, GT pit stops will be coming up next, and we will see who dives into the pit lane, who doesn't, and how that will affect the shakeup of the order. All I see is headlights, but I do see a Lexus and a Ferrari coming in, and several others behind it. Perhaps the KCMG Porsche of Patrick Pilet, yes. Many others from GT, Windward Racing in the GTD, regular GTD, not GTD Pro. All of them taking the opportunity to come down pit lane and head to their pit boxes. Tight quarters there for many of them, just trying to squeeze in. Both the Lexuses, or Lexi I should say, are in. That's the Pro 14 Lexus and the regular 12 Lexus. Of course, they had several problems early on with that contact with the Chevrolet Ferrari. 97 WeatherTech Racing Mercedes is in. So some very, a lot of key front runners in GTD are all taking the opportunity to pit here during this yellow. Number 12 remains on its jacks after the long period of slow time with that car. They managed to get up to 18th of 22 in class after others experienced difficulties along their way. So the yellow flag period will be around, of course, for another few laps, as those that need the wave around will get the wave around, and everyone will bunch back up, and we'll have ourselves yet another restart. Now, is there a brake change going on for the Windward Racing car? I do believe there is a brake change going on. down on the pit lane. However, this may not be necessarily planned. Seems to be having a little more trouble than I would anticipate. However, I am not a mechanic, but I do know that I don't think he's really going for the brake rotor. He appears to be more focusing on the rear of the car. And maybe, in fact, they were just snapping that brake rotor into place as they've just put the tire on. So I believe we did just catch the tail end of a brake change for the 57. Of course, everyone in this race at some point will be taking a brake change, just to ensure that those brake pads don't wear out entirely. You need brakes to make it through this race, I am told, and not to crash into concrete wall. So, the Windward Racing crew seeing the opportunity to do a brake change and taking it there. Well, we've been talking about how cold the weather is going to get down in Daytona, and I can confirm from the warm and cozy comfort of my room that it is indeed very, very cold there in Daytona Beach. A mere 36 degrees as the night appears to be on tap to get down to just about 32 before 7 a.m. So those early morning hours before the sun comes up are going to be very, very challenging on cold tires for these guys. If it hasn't been already, which it has. So it's been great to be watching this race. Obviously one of the favorites of the year. By far the largest endurance race in the United States. But of course, this is just the beginning of an incredible IMSA season that we have to look forward to ahead of us. With Sebring coming up, and of course then the sprint season with Long Beach and Laguna Seca and all of them. Watkins Glen in the middle of the summer, and Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta to finish it off. We're in a much more normal, typical schedule here for IMSA with not too many race dates shifted, if any. They're all in their proper place as they should be, and we're looking forward to a very, very fun IMSA racing season. Stephen McAleer has gotten aboard the number 32 Gradient Racing Mercedes. They're having a very, very good showing. Third place in GTD. The drivers of that car being Mike Skeen, James Davison, Stephen McAleer, and Scott Andrews. All very talented and well-experienced racing drivers. So great to see several Mercedes AMGs here this weekend. So many other manufacturers. There are just the field is full. Lap traffic will be making their way through now. Well, pardon me, no more lap traffic. We are back to green flag racing with Richard Westbrook leading Mike Rockenfeller to the green. Rockenfeller, is he going to try and go around the outside? He is, but he's going to be unable to stick it. Oh, almost a little bit of contact between Richard Westbrook and Mike Rockenfeller there as they head through the S's into the International Horseshoe. All of them, their tires will still be getting up to temperature from this most recent restart. Bourdais is now in the thick of that. Look at that. Bourdais, as they all race through these GT cars, the traffic is so slow and they're all just struggling to get through. Out of the secondary horseshoe they go. Westbrook is looking to get a bit of a lead, a little bit of a lock up there for Castroneves, it appears, as he attempts to hunt down Bourdais. Castroneves flashing the lights at Bourdais to try and distract him. You're not going to distract Sebastian Bourdais, surely. But Castroneves is in the draft, and around Bourdais he goes into the bus stop. Bourdais, is he going to give it up? Yes, he is. Castroneves into third, Bourdais into fourth. I think that Bourdais in that 01 Cadillac may still have some lingering floor damage or some damage from contact or problems down the line, because if you look at the gap that Elio Castroneves is able to build up on Bourdais, it certainly looks like that 01 does not have the straight line speed to contend with these leaders, which is very, very sad from what we've been seeing. Of course, still not losing terribly much time and able to close up to the 60 in the braking, and a lot of this could just be manufacturer difference, but that car does not look 100% healthy in my opinion. Lap traffic already in the way. Number 5, Richard Westbrook continues to lead. He's gotten a fairly good gap to himself, from himself to Mike Rockenfeller in the number 48, and then another second or so back to Elio Castroneves in the 60, and another second back or so to Bourdais. They've all spaced themselves out fairly nicely here on this restart. So the battle for second place here continues. Castroneves and traffic are interacting. Mike Rockenfeller got held up a bit there in the international horseshoe as they go through the kink into the second horseshoe. Those two very, very close together, and Westbrook not out of their target zone either. We're coming up on almost halfway through this race. We are almost at 12 hours remaining. Rockenfeller quickly scurrying to get away from the 60 Cadillac of Castroneves. We have officially now completed half of the race. Just seen on the Rolex clock there, still glowing. So still, half as many dramas as we've had already are set to take place here. Richard Westbrook continues to lead that DPI field. All of them, the entire DPI field, within 6 seconds after 12 hours of racing. Restarts have brought them all back together, and it is only 6 seconds that separates those 7 cars, the entire DPI field. So I would give any of them a shot at winning this. So we will once again make changes to our leaderboard. Richard Westbrook leads in the number 5. JDC Miller. Motorsports. Cadillac. DPI. However, in LMP2, the lead has also changed. The number 52 PR1 Matheson Motorsports, which I always have to look up how to spell. They have regained the lead in that category. Another great showing from them. It is still Kai Van Berlo in the number 74 Ligier LMP3 with the lead in that class. GTD Pro is now led by Mauro Engel in the number 97 Proton competition. This is the first time that I am putting them on the leaderboard in this race as the leaders of their class. And finally, it is the number 70 Inception Racing McLaren that leads the GTD class. So well done to them. First time seeing them up here on the board as well. So those are your lead changes, with half of the race still to run. Let's do a race rundown, shall we, as we are just past the halfway point. Elio Castroneves, it appears, has now taken back the lead as soon as I type that, of course. And that would be because the leaders have come into the pits, I would assume. We are yet to see it here on the feed, but according to our live, that is what has occurred. No, that is actually because Elio Castroneves has made a pass for the lead through the tri-oval on the number 5, and they are going to go side by side. The number 5 is back through into the infield. This is a battle, a great battle going on here between Cadillac versus Acura. And go ahead and bring Mike Rockenfeller right into this. These three are inseparable right now. The number 5 has gained a little bit of an advantage going through the kink. The 60 and the 48 are right together. But certainly you couldn't put a blanket over these three. And we haven't been able to for much of the race, but absolutely now they are all nose to tail. The 5 appears to be getting a little bit of an advantage again as the 60 falls into the clutches of the 48, Castroneves and Rockenfeller together, as that Mustang sampling really has just taken off again. But Castroneves almost had the lead of this motor race as Westbrook and him fought into turn 1. But it is Westbrook that continues to maintain that lead so far. However, there is traffic going through the bus stop. We'll see how that affects things. But for now, it appears that Richard Westbrook maintains the lead of that DPI category, then Castroneves, then Rockenfeller to the 60 and the 48. Then you will find Sebastian Bourdais in the 01 Chip Ganassi DPI with his teammate Marcus Ericsson in the 02 Chip Ganassi DPI in 4th, pardon me. And then in 5th, you'll see Felipe Albuquerque, the starter of the number 10 pole-sitting Wayne Taylor Racing Acura DPI. That is the top 5 there. Rinus VK is back aboard the number 29 Racing Team Nederland Orica 07, leading in LMP2, with Pato O'Ward still behind the wheel of the number 81 Orica 07 of Dragon Speed. Of course, last year's IndyCar champion. Then Mikkel Jensen in the number 52 Orca has fallen back to third, so when I posted that in the LMP2 category, he was the leader. Of course, this is changing constantly due to pit stops. Louis Delatraz is in the number 8 Tower Motorsports Orca. Some great talent that I'm finding in this field here. A lot of really well-known names. Of course, Louis Delatraz, associated with F1 teams and really high up there in the sports car and the open wheel world as well. And in 5th place, we have Luca Giotto, of course, a Formula 2 driver in the number 69 G-Drive Orca. A lot of these Formula guys really do tend to gravitate to these LMP2 cars. The Indy guys seem to gravitate towards the DPIs. Subtle differences, but programs that are available for all of them. It just tends to work out that way. But really interesting to see a really good string of well-known open wheel or testing drivers all here and represented. In LMP3, Kai Van Berlo continues to lead in the number 74 Riley Motorsports Ligier. Of course, just behind him, Kuno Whitmer in the number 13 Duquesne for the AWA. We've seen them around several times today in a couple of spins and incidents, but they are on the lead lap and certainly in this thing, and only a lap back from them, Joel Barbosa in the number 33 Ligier. Of course, this has just changed 2 laps back now. But all this is changing as pit stop cycles carry on and off. Joel Barbosa in the number 33 Ligier for Sean Creech Motorsport. Believe that would be Nick Jonas in the number 54 LMP3 for Core Autosport. In 4th and in 5th, Jared Andretti continues to stay aboard the number 36 Ligier in that category. We move down to GTD Pro. It is still Maro Engel in the 97 GTD Pros. Will keep one eye on this battle for second in DPI and another on this GTD Pro battle. Maro Engel in the 97 Mercedes-AMG GT3 for Proton Competition leads that class with a 2nd place. Alexander Imperatori in the number 2 KCMG Porsche. Remember, that is the one with factory-backed drivers and factory-backed effort and traffic. Bringing the 2nd and 3rd place, the 2 purple, pinkish DPI cars together. A really, really big string of traffic with these GTD cars in LMP3 that is continuing to bring the number 60 and 48 in the battle for second together and apart. As the ebb and flow through the traffic continues, just crazy seeing such a giant field of GT cars and these prototypes navigating it. It is an art that could be watched all day, and it's fascinating. You can't just look at this and be disappointed, There's something to look at every single corner, and of course, if you're not watching along, the lights and the just the fantastic nature of the almost snake-esque as they all travel through, and just watching it ebb and flow throughout the track is incredible to watch. Amazing scenes from Daytona. As we'll continue through our countdown, James Calado is in the very well-known Ferrari factory driver in the number 62 Racing Competizione Ferrari, and Dirk Mueller in the number 15 Lexus for Vassar Sullivan. And Andrea Caldarelli in the number 63 Lamborghini. Some really, really well-known factory pilots out here, all separated by just 8 seconds in the battle for GTD Pro. So the real big guns are in right now. Of course, with Maro Engel leading that field. That battle in GTD Pro is going to be one to watch for the remainder of this race. And then finally in GTD we have Ollie Milroy, of course, a very well-known McLaren factory driver in the number 70 Inception Racing McLaren. It's nice to see them running out front. One team that's consistently been right there, though, is the number 16 Wright Motorsports Porsche. Richard Leeds currently in the car. And hey, look at that. Andy Lally in the number 44 Magnus Racing Aston Martin. They've found themselves through pit stops up there in third place as well. Mark Miller in the number 66 Gradient Racing Acura NSX is certainly not to be counted out either in fourth position. And Stephen McAleer in the number 32 Gradient Racing Mercedes. Gradient Racing has continued to come up time and time again in these reports, and it goes to show you that they are certainly in the hunt for this thing. They're being very consistent, staying up there in that top 5 position area, and certainly will be one to watch. But great to see Magnus Racing. I love all the funny stuff they do over on their social media pages, and you should definitely give them a follow if you're not giving them a follow. And another team you should also follow is Turner Motorsport and all their taco adventures. They love tacos, it is known. Unfortunately, they're struggling down in this race. They've had some major incidents and troubles, and attempting to find number 96. They are in 17th in class right now. So, unfortunate race for them. They're 68 laps off the leader. They've spent some time behind the wall, but still going strong and just carrying that endurance spirit with them. Great to see a few of you concurrent viewers in there, probably some of you over from Europe. Unfortunately, it is the middle of the night over here in America, and I will have to bid farewell for the night here soon, but don't worry, I will be back somewhere around 9 a.m. But for now, we'll just enjoy the sights and sounds of Daytona from the night. Traffic ebbing and flowing in and out of the infield to the banking. Lap after lap, it seems to go by quicker and quicker as the race goes on, but I'm sure these drivers would love to have some of that stress off of their shoulders right now. But when you're in the cockpit, it's just game on, and you just focus on that stint. The drivers who are outside the car will just be focusing on some rest right now, and keeping themselves sane and getting a bit of sleep for the upcoming stints. We see a battle here for second place that is between the Wright Motorsports Porsche and the number 44 Magnus Aston Martin. Of course, they went with the Acura last year and really struggled with that car, but this year they're coming back with an Aston Martin, which has been fairly competitive in IMSA with the Heart of Racing Aston Martins in GTD Pro and GTD. This year, of course, the GTD Pro car is sadly out of the race with major damage, but the GTD car, the 27, remains in this race, and they are in 12th place as we speak. Roman DeAngelis is in that car right now, doing a great job. I was just taking a check. We can go ahead and take a look at maybe a different view. For these last few minutes of coverage here. Let's take a nice wide look at the infield here. There you go, lovely, lovely view here from Daytona in the game, depicting what it's like out there on circuit. Some pit stops going on. That is the 5, the leader of the DPI class, is into the pits. Routine stop. Fuel is going in, tires being changed, a windshield tear off the car. It will be interesting to see if there is a driver change. Of course, Tristan Vautier has been behind the wheel of that car. Richard Westbrook, I apologize for that. but I would imagine that Richard Westbrook would stay behind the wheel. He has been just got in a while back, and he's been very quick, very rapid. This is also the number 48, the Ally Cadillac, coming out of the pits. Pardon me. Jimmy Johnson is in for his night stint, it appears. So we wish Jimmy the best of luck as we wind up our coverage for the night. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We had 130 playbacks, reviews throughout the stream. It's been fun. I will see you all again in the morning. Take care. Have yourself a good night. Continue to keep up with the race, because certainly you'll want to be tuning in for the finish. This has been an amazing Rolex 24 so far, with many stories up and down the grid, and just an incredible battle that even as I leave now with Mauro Engel, Imperatori in the number 2 KCMG Corsa, and then James Collado in the 62 Ferrari, they're all still right together. This is going to go down to the end. No predictions can be made. It is all just incredibly close up front. So thank you all for watching this stream. We will be back in the morning. Stay positive and live on.